This talk focuses on the scope of feedback information theory and the significance of directed information in feedback related problems. Feedback helps in boosting the reliability and reducing the complexity of communication systems. But feedback information theory is not just communication centric. It has applications in various fields, including brain-machine interfaces and decentralized control. In this talk, I will talk about 4 scenarios: communications with feedback, decentralized control, communication over channels with memory, and sigma delta quantization, with more focus on the feedback communications part. All these problems can be cast under a general framework with a unifying theme of maximizing the directed information. Before looking at what this general framework is, I will define what the directed information is. Suppose there are 2 sequences of random variables x1 to xn and y1 to yn. Then the mutual information between x and y is can be computed by the chain rule here. Suppose these 2 sequences are causally related, that is x2 appears after y1 and is influenced by y1, then the amount of actual information flow from x to y in one direction is called directed information and can be computed by the expression here. Note the small I instead of capital N here. This means that the directed information ignores the information that yi may be telling about the future xi plus 1 to xn. Directed information characterizes the fundamental limits of stochastic systems with dynamics and plays a prominent role in feedback information theory literature. So now we will look at the general problem setup which fits all the different scenarios discussed in the previous slide. The system here has 4 parameters: the exogenous source Pz, a noisy channel with input x and output y, a dynamical system with state x which is affected by both the input z and the channel output y, and D can be a decoder or an estimator depending on which problem we are looking at. All these 4 parameters define the system. Some of these can be fixed, some of these can be the design parameters based on which problem we are looking at. But in all the problems, the objective function is the same, to maximize the directed information. So in this slide we will see a crucial step in maximizing the directed information. So by expanding the directed information and looking at the inequalities, we can see that from this inequality here, the directed information is maximized only when all the channel outputs YIs are IID. No matter what the system is and what the system parameters are, yi being IID is a crucial step, is a crucial property for maximizing the directed information, and we will see this in all the different scenarios. Examples we will see in the future. I will discuss all the 4 examples one by one, and as I go along, I will discuss the literature behind this, review the literature behind these scenarios. So the first problem is the communication with feedback problem, and we will set the parameters in such a way that the general problem setup can be modified to a communication problem. So the channel P y given x is fixed. The input source z is fixed. The input source z to be a null set, and set the initial state of the system to be w, which is the message point that has to be communicated. And the D is the decoder. We have to design the encoding policy mu such that the directed information is maximized. It is easy to verify that the directed information in this case here is the mutual information between W and Yn. So by fixing these parameters, 4 parameters here, the problem can be modified to a communication problem with feedback. So we will, before looking at the solution of the problem, we will see the background for this feedback communication problem. So feedback cannot increase the capacity of memoryless channels. It is well known from channels time, and but feedback can boost the reliability and significantly reduce the complexity of communication systems. The key advantage that comes from the noiseless feedback is that the encoder knows exactly what the decoder sees, and this allows it for it to behave like a sequential decision-making problem with properties reminiscent to control, which can be used in solving these problems. So the recent work of the proof of optimality of posterior matching scheme by Shavitz and Fader and stochastic control viewpoint of feedback communications by Coleman use control principles in communication. Another advantage is that since the encoder knows what the decoder says, when an error event occurs because of the noisy channel, the encoder can alarm the decoder about the error event. So because of this, the reliability of the system increases. So this is possible only when we use variable length block codes along with feedback. Banashev's exponent and the work on variable length block codes by Yamamoto Ito fall under this category. Till now we have seen the results on perfect feedback. Now we will. So what if we have a noisy feedback case? So not much is known in this scenario. The reason is as follows. So when there is no feedback, we know that from Shannon's work there exist optimal encoding schemes by the random coding argument, and when there is perfect feedback, optimal coding schemes are known to exist. One example is posterior matching scheme. But when we have noisy feedback, only a few results in that too in the special cases of a binary symmetric channel and AWGN channel are known. The reason is the encoder does not know exactly what the decoder knows. So building optimal schemes based on the noisy feedback is very difficult. It is surprising that the two extreme cases of no feedback case and perfect feedback case have solutions, but the noisy feedback case has no solution yet. So we'll go back to the, we'll now look at the solution of the feedback communication problem with perfect feedback. So the problem was to design an encoding policy mu so as to maximize the directed information. The one optimal policy is the posterior matching scheme proposed by Shavitz and Fader. So this scheme maps at every time instant, this scheme maps the message W and the previous observations to the next channel input, and the next channel input has these properties. Xn plus 1 should be independent of all the previous observations, and because of the memoryless nature of the channel, Yn plus 1 is also independent of Yns, or equivalently saying Ys or IID. And at every time instant, given Xn plus 1 and Yn, you should be able to recover what the original message is. These two properties are satisfied by the posterior matching scheme, and it has been proved to be optimal capacity achieving using control principles. So the underlying principle in the posterior matching scheme is that it steers the posterior in the direction of the message point. This scheme works for any general memoryless channel, and for the binary symmetric channel with perfect feedback, this boils down to the Horstein scheme proposed in 1963. So the scheme is as follows. At every time instant, the encoder has to decide to send a 0 or a 1 based on whether the message W lies to the left or the right of the posterior's median. Suppose this is the posterior at the 10th time instant. Based on whether the message is to the left or to the right of the median, we send a 0 or a 1, and the posteriors are updated accordingly. So this simple principle is used in designing brain-machine interfaces. This is one example. In this example, the user can think about moving left or to moving right, and the signals are collected. The brain signals are collected, and then the classifier can decide whether you are thinking right or the user is thinking left. So using this classifier and the Horstein scheme proposed before, we can actually develop an English sentence speller. that's, the experiment is described as follows. Any English sentence can be represented on a binary expansion line on the 0-1 line. So using graphical user interface, the user can actually decide whether he has to go to the next alphabet or he has to move to the previous alphabet. Based on that, based on whether he thinks to the left or the right, he actually zooms into the actual what his intended message is. So the picture here shows the posterior of his intended message over all possible sentences. So you can actually see that he is zooming into the blue region here over time. So he's actually going, perfecting his word or perfecting his sentence as he decides left or right. So we will look at the second example of decentralized control. The problem here is the top figure. The problem here is the controller has to take actions which have a cost, and he has to control the state of the plant, but he cannot actually see the state of the plant directly. You can only see those measurements through a noisy channel, which again has a cost. So the problem is to minimize the expected cost and simultaneously control the state of the plant. So this problem can be shown to be equivalent to a distortion minimization problem between the signal and the estimates. So we will only focus on the second problem now. So by fixing the 4 system parameters accordingly, we will modify the general problem setup we had to the distortion minimization problem. So the channel P y given x is fixed, and we set the input source to be Markov. PZ is Markov, and the decoder D is the estimator here. The D and mu, the policy are the design parameters, and P y given x and PZ are fixed. So the objective is to minimize the distortion or the total cost, and we have to optimize over all the policy and estimator pairs. The optimal policy can be non-linear or time varying, but it can be shown that when the distortion cost rho and channel input cost eta have certain structure, then a simple linear time invariant estimator decoder pair can be shown to be an optimal scheme for the problem here. So the proof of this connects control and communication via KL divergence. So the implications of this result are that we can prove we can generalize and prove and prove Bashar and Bansal's simultaneous control of. Yep.
Can I also get on the previous slides? So what's Z and X1 here?
X1 is the initial state of the system. Of the X1 is Z naught.
So why you want to?
We have to estimate Z distortion. We have to minimize the distortion between Z and Z hat, and yeah. So the results can be generalized to the Bashar and Bansal's result and the results of Shekhar-Tatikonda. Go to the third example of communication over channels with memory. In general, giving an achievable region for channel with memory is very difficult and involves information density arguments. But if the memory has a certain structure as shown here, we can prove the achievability arguments very easily. If the structure of the memory has the box in the blue lines is the channel with memory. If the memory structure has a state updater and a memoryless channel with internal feedback, we can show that we can prove achievability arguments using this. So in this case, the policy mu is fixed, the channel Py given x is fixed, and we have to optimize over all input distributions Pz and maximize the directed information between the input and the output. The examples of, which fall under this category are the timing channel and the Blackwell's trapdoor channel. I will look at the trapdoor channel now. Suppose there is a box, and at every time instant you are allowed to throw one ball, either a red ball or a blue ball into the system, and the system decides randomly. So the system has an initial state, and it decides randomly which ball to spit out. So suppose there are two balls in the system, two red balls in the system, a red ball will come out. If there are two blue balls, a blue ball will come out. If there is one red and one blue ball, with probability half and half, a red or a blue can come out. So this can be seen in the channel here. If x is equal to 0 corresponds to 2 red balls, x is equal to 1 corresponds to 1 red and 1 blue, and x is equal to 2 corresponds to 2 blue balls. So if the state of the system is 0, then only a red ball can come out. So the channel here is an inverse erasure channel, and this channel with memory has this following structure here. So we can verify that the dynamical system here is a Markov chain when the input is IID, and if we can design the input PZ such that the system is reversible Markov chain, we can show that the output YS are IID, which is needed to maximize the directed information Zn to Yn. This kind of notation has not been, this kind of notation for a trapdoor channel has not been, is not there in the literature before. So this is our recent work on reversible Markov chains and feedback information theory. So a timing channel with a queuing noise can also be represented as a channel with memory, with an as a memoryless channel with internal feedback, and usually the achievable region for this channel with memory is very difficult to solve, and but with this notation, the capacity of this channel is just the capacity of the memoryless channel G channel here, and it is very simple to prove that. So with this we'll come to the last example of sigma delta quantization. So at every time instant, a signal is sent through a quantizer, and a quantized version of the signal comes out of the system, and the error xi minus yi is added to the next input z, and is again sent into the system. So in this case, the policy mu is fixed. The distribution PZ, the input distribution PZ is fixed, and we have to optimize over all quantizers, which are all quantizers, and the low pass filter of the decoder. So this work is ongoing, and we don't know the results yet, but this gives a new if we can show that maximizing the mutual information between the input and output is optimal in this case, we can reason about building building sigma delta quantizers in a new way. So to summarize, feedback plays an important role in reducing the complexity in communications, and the principles in feedback information theory can be related to various fields, and that's all.
So what is the operational meaning of this directed information? Like for the decentralized control you show, like you try to maximize the direct information between Z and Yn. So what would be like the operational, like for mutual information you say it's maximum rate you can transmit over the channel, and what that direct information is?
So directed information is a causal measure. It is the flow of information from X to Y. It doesn't take into account the other way around. So mutual information is a sum of directed information of in the two directions.
So is there a theorem that has operational meaning?
Right. Like for the capacity, you can show is the maximum rate you can transmit. You have code book to transmit. And does this direct information has some meaning like
Yes,
that?
for stochastics, so for systems with dynamics, directed information is the fundamental limit. Like mutual information is the fundamental limit in memoryless channels. Directed information is a fundamental limit for systems with dynamics. Like finite state Markov chains, if the channel has memory and state in it, then we can reason about directed information as the rate that flows from X to Y.
Is there a coding theorem associated with that?
Yes, it is. It is Shekhar-Tatoguna's work.
Any other questions?
In the trapdoor channel, you've got 2 balls in there.
Yes.
Can you tell if there's more than 2 balls in there? Like 5 balls or B balls?
Yeah, the actual problem can have any number of, the permuter channel can have any number of.
But your reversibility holds and the result holds?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, though. I mean, that was Toby Berger did a lot of work on that, and he had some results. They never got written up, as far as I know. But if you could do the B-ball model, it'd be interesting.
Shiva, you have a question? Just the trapdoor channel, you said Blackwell chemical trapdoor channel. Is there any particular reason that chemical? Does it come from some application or something?
I think it is used to model chemical systems to communication in the body too. So that's why.
Okay, and then do you know in what
No,
way?
I don't.
See, if B-balls, you sort of can affect the concentration of like orange balls and blue balls. So then you're sampling. So when you sample, you pick out a ball, you see if it's orange or blue, and you sort of sample the concentration. And the input can affect the concentration.
Okay.
So it could be a chemical concentration, and that's the way cells communicate with each other. They put out chemicals, and then other cells see concentrations. So it's trying to get at that cellular communication.
Okay.
Well, that's what Toby Berger was interested in, but that's why you wanted to have more than 2 balls in there. You wanted to have these large numbers of molecules of 2 types or multiple types.
That's interesting. All right, if there are no other questions, let's thank the speaker, Shiva.